bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of a leaf. In a squeaky voice, he piped in the man's ear. "Senor, a ruined rainforest means ruined lives. You'll leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree." Now you can see the frog whispering in his ear. A jaguar had been sleeping along a branch in the middle of the tree. Because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light and shadows of the understory, no one had noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. He growled in his ear, "Senor, the kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner?" 4 tree porcupines swung down from branch to branch and whispered to the man, "Senor, do you know what we animals and humans need in order to live? Oxygen. And Senor, do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut down the forest, you'll destroy what gives us life." Okay, so there are lots of different reasons they don't want the trees cut down. Oxygen, dinner, life. Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs. The unstriped anteater said to the sleeping man, "Senor, you're chopping down this tree and with no thought for our future. And surely you know what happens tomorrow depends on what you do today. The big man tells you to chop down a beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children who tomorrow must live in a world without trees." So one by one they're trying to persuade him that they mustn't do it. A three-toed sloth had begun climbing down from the canopy where the men first appeared. Only now did she reach the ground. Plodding ever so slowly over to the sleeping man, she spoke in her deep and lazy voice. "Senor, how much is beauty worth? Can you live without it? If you destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what would you feast your eyes?" A child from a Yanomamo tribe who lived in the rainforest knelt over the sleeping man. He murmured in his ear, "Senor, when you awake, please look at us with new eyes." And he doesn't mean the man's really going to have new eyes, does he? He means you're going to think about things in a different way. The man awoke with a start. Before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him staring were the creatures who depended upon the great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. The man looked about and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great kapok tree. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of their flowers. He felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor. But he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely silent. The man stood and picked up his axe. He swung back his arm, though to strike the tree, but suddenly he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and the child. He hesitated. Then he dropped the axe and walked out of the rainforest. So he'd obviously decided it wasn't the right thing to do to chop down the tree, because those animals wanted life, they wanted oxygen, they wanted things for the future for their children, okay? Because if there's no trees and oxygen, their lives for the children isn't going to be as good. And the author at the back wrote, "Dear readers, I wrote The Great Kapok Tree to let the world know what happens to the rainforest creatures and to the entire planet when rainforests are destroyed. I hope that after reading this book, you'll help save the rainforests. The Great Kapok Tree is about the Amazon rainforest, a tropical rainforest, but we have a temperate rainforest in the Pacific Northwest of the United States that we must protect too. Please care for Mother Earth together, and we can make a difference." I think you'll agree that's a really important thing to remember. Right, hands together. Dear God, please help us think of our environment. Thank you so much for all the beautiful things you've provided for us. The rainforest, the trees, the woodlands, the rivers, the lakes. And help us think about the future. How we treat the world today could be how we or our children live in the future. Amen. Goodbye, Fishbourne School.